Open up our baseline here.
So this is the Scuff Envision Pro, and we got the wireless in the steel gray, and it's around 180 bucks. So I said give or take 200, 180, still more than double the cost of all of our controllers here. Now this one does have adjustable triggers. It does have programmable macro keys, which some of our other controllers are not going to have that. It has side action buttons. It has Omron mechanical switches, which all of these should have some type of mechanical switch. And the big thing with this one is it is not Hall effect sensors for the analog sticks.
Which is interesting because that's becoming a trend even with budget controllers. Again, I've gotten to this space more recently with games that require controllers, and a lot of them are Hall effects. So this price point, that may be a down thing that people don't want to deal with. It feels premium.
It looks nice.
It feels premium. You can get your first impressions here.
And I will say, every single controller in this roundup is wireless. So don't look at one controller and hear wireless and be like, oh, it must be way better. This is what I mean by the side buttons, which I've never seen before. I guess you're supposed to hit them like that.
You just kind of push them in.
Yeah, a little side push action, but it's kind of interesting. These are those macros I was telling you all about, kind of like a Logitech style, where it's like G1, G2. On the back, we do have we have 4 different bumpers to choose from, actually. We have the sides, and then these here. And then this is how you actually adjust the depth of how far these triggers go down, which that's another feature that a lot of these will have, but
it's very difficult to adjust.
Hard to get to, but I guess that's good so you don't accidentally do it. And it's USB Type-C.
One thing to mention as well, and I saw this warning thing, and Jackson mentioned it off camera, is this is owned by Corsair. The company is owned by Corsair, Scuff is. So you have to install IQ to actually control this controller, and I'm assuming you can do some RGB syncing with your Corsair products and things like that. I will say, feeling this, it feels hefty. You know, it feels good. The ergonomics are nice. Everything feels very firm is kind of the way I would say it, like the initial impressions.
Yeah, so I mean, this is our most expensive one by far. So this is the one that we'll start with, and we'll see what we think of it. For all we know, this could still come out on top. All right, guys, so there was a little bit of setup with the Scuff Envision. I just got demoed by a bot. I got demoed by C-Block, who's about to score on me. But yeah, a little bit of setup with this controller. Normally, I know like with my Easy SMX that I use at home, I just plug in the dongle, good to go. This one we plugged in the dongle, and it was not auto paired from the factory, so I did have to download IQ. And once we did that, and only once we did that, we were able to pair the dongle with the controller. Now it did work wired prior to the box, but you're obviously probably gonna want to play wireless because that's kind of a big selling point of this controller. But overall, the controller is really nice. It's really interesting having the mechanical buttons. Almost everything on here is mechanical, nice little clicks to it. Jonah did point out that the depth adjustment on the triggers is only 2 points. So basically all the way in, or you can switch it to where it's instant. Like it feels like a mechanical switch. As soon as you press it, it actuates. But there's no in between, which I think is kind of an interesting move. Yeah, it's hefty. It definitely has some good weight to it, which I don't really know if that's a big selling point for a controller or not. I don't know how often I would ever use any of these macros. I think these would be really good for like first persons and very specific games, but I'm friends with some controller players that have told me they don't even use the pack of bumpers in all honesty. So I think a lot of times they're more of a thing that people think they're gonna wanna use, but then it's kind of like buying one of those Razer mice that has like 20 macros on it and you only use one or none of them. So I think this feels pretty good. I think I wanna put it in Matt's hands and see what he thinks. But after the setup was done, it's a pretty straightforward controller.
All right, gamers, this is my first impression with the Scuff Envision controller. And I know we've mentioned the name of the controller many times, the Easy SMX. That's one I've been using to play this game a majority of the time. I started with an original Xbox One controller, then moved over to that one. Playing Black Myth Wukong, by the way. Just gonna kind of get an idea of what it feels like. Once again, same with Jackson. I normally wouldn't use the extra side buttons, but I've always wanted to try. But a game like Wukong, normally you don't necessarily need it. I will say this is the first I'm playing it for. It looks absolutely beautiful. The same vibes that Jackson was saying. It is very, ooh, God, 5090, come on now. It is a very well-built controller. Everything is super smooth. I don't know if I like the buttons as much as my Easy SMX because I don't know. The buttons don't feel as like, I don't know, tactile, I guess. They are tactile, but it doesn't really give me the same like satisfaction that my other one did. Joysticks are fine. They're a little tight, but I could get used to it. Yeah, so theoretically, obviously, the longevity with this controller is the main concern without Hall effect, especially when there's budget options that do have Hall effect. So, you know, it doesn't right now, just based on me playing this game at home on a more budget controller, I don't initially feel like, whoa, this is like groundbreaking better. But again, I could be wrong once we try some of these other controllers. I might have to notice the difference side by side a little bit better. But Yeah, it's a cool controller, don't get me wrong. All right, so now that we've finished testing the baseline controller, let's go ahead and open up one of our first budget options, see how it feels, and see if our assumption is right, that these budget controllers might actually be similar. And for those who don't need all the fancy features that something like the Scuff would offer, you might be better off just going the budget options, but we gotta get into testing to find out. First up, we have the 8-Bit Do, which is a $35 controller that is wireless, comes with holodeck joysticks, 1000 hertz polling rate, and at $35, it's a really good price, and we're starting budget here, guys.
And the exact model is the Ultimate 2C. They have a lot of options. This company makes all kinds of things outside of just normal gaming controllers. But at 35 bucks, this one just kind of had some compelling selling points, but especially being wireless.
So we'll go inside here. So first up, we have a USB-C for charging or wired play. This one does, I would assume, comes with a see how this opens up.
Yeah, one of these should be 2.4 and Bluetooth, so you have some options.
So we'll unpeel this here. Aha, here we go. So there's the dongle. We can show people what the dongle looks like. I always like these controllers, especially the budget ones now. It's just so much easier to pair a controller with your PC. Back in the day, getting Bluetooth working and everything can be very difficult, but with these dongles,
I like this.
that is a little theme. And this one is supposed to be Wukong themed. Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, it is, honestly, if you didn't know anything about Black Myth Wukong, you just kind of look at this like, that's kind of a cool controller.
I genuinely, when I bought it, I did not know it was Black Myth Wukong themed.
Yes.
I just thought it looked really cool.
But anyways, it's a cool looking controller. I mean, we got the Hall effect, which this feels very similar to the other controller that I have at home. It feels really nice. And all the buttons are pretty accessible. So we have the 2 bumpers right here. We got the left and right trigger. We have these extra programmable ones. I'm assuming this is the power, or is this the Bluetooth pairing?
Probably Bluetooth pairing.
Bluetooth pairing, USB-C. We have the switch on the back, which will be 2.4 or Bluetooth. Again, it's not going to have as many buttons like those side buttons that the Scuff had, any of the other like adjustable trigger points or anything. But that's kind of the point of this video. Is a lot of people just don't want those.
Hey.
Those features.
You don't need to do that.
You don't need them. You can save the time.
I
Quiet!
don't think this one has mechanical switches either. I mean, we have Hall effect going for, which is probably the most important, but all of these buttons just feel kind of like a more OG controller.
Yeah, I feel like I need to touch this one. So we got that.
Those are like those, I think those are actual Omron, like what would be in a mouse actually.
Versus this, which feels just like your normal generic Xbox controller. I think this is just kind of like you take a normal Xbox controller, add a cool theme to it, add Hall effect, and make it budget. It's an upgrade for some people, not a substantial upgrade, but it is an upgrade. But we got a game on it to give our actual opinions on it and see if it feels close or better or about the same as its expensive one.
Let's plug it in and hope it works.
All right, guys, we're back in, and you know, this is a point I never thought I'd actually make, because normally when you think of quality products, you think of heft. I kind of like that this one's lighter weight. It is cheaper, obviously that's the reason it's lighter weight, but something about it just feels much more comfortable. I was telling Jonah off camera, this reminds me of like a Switch Pro controller, which a lot of people get for playing like Smash Bros and stuff like that. Very compact, very small. I do have bigger hands, so it's kind of, it does feel smaller compared to the other controller, but it's not uncomfortably small. Let's just see what the buttons actually feel like. Yeah, they're fine. They're not as satisfying as the Scuff controller, obviously. You certainly are going to get much more of a tactile bump with those controllers, and there are some other ones that will be a little more expensive, but give us that bump that we're looking for. Yeah, when you think of the price, we're talking like a major difference in price drop-off. It feels good. Would I necessarily, if I had like both controllers handed to me, price was no option, I would definitely still get the more expensive controller. But this one is really comfortable. If someone handed this to me and I was like, hey, play a game with it for several hours, I think I'd be pretty happy with it. Obviously, we want to know like battery life and stuff like that long term. We only really have the manufacturer's claims, but I like it so far.
All right, guys, so playing some Rocket League again, and one thing that I gotta say about this controller that I already liked is the fact that I plugged in the dongle and it instantly worked, which I think is gonna be the trend that we're gonna see for every single controller besides the Scuff Envision. Just like Matt said, this one's definitely lighter, but it still feels very sturdy. I think I like the feel of this one better. I think the Scuff is actually too heavy, which is something that's great for a keyboard. I do not care for in a controller. And I also need to point out the fact that it is 1/5 of the price of the Scuff Envision. And do I feel like this is 1/5 of the performance? Definitely not. I feel like this one, the fact that it's wireless, the fact that it's Hall effect, USB Type-C, really the only thing that I guess you could say this is kind of missing is some of the macros and the mechanical, the Omron switch. I honestly feel like I like Matt said, if you play with I'd probably still go with the Scuff, but just hardly barely. But I think in this video, I personally would definitely put this at number 1 so far. What's your thoughts on this, Matt?
Yeah, I would say number 1, obviously. We have nothing else really to compare it to. I mean, but we're talking price to performance versus the Scuff Envision versus the other budget ones we have to take a look at. For me, particularly, if you're a PC gamer, you're going to use your keyboard and mouse most of the time, and when you're going to spend a lot of money on a controller, when you're probably not going to use it as much as you would your keyboard and mouse, this is just perfect. Like, this is all you really need, but I know some people mainly play controller on PC still, and if that's the case, maybe it's worth investing in a better controller, but this one's really good for the price. First place.
So first place, we're going to go ahead and put the 8-bit dude. Let's go ahead and go on to the next controller.
All right, our next one is a little bit interesting. This one comes in at $41 with a coupon that we bought on Amazon, which unfortunately is actually not on Amazon right now, but you can buy this from a wide range of different price ranges, maybe with different specs from different sellers under different names. This is kind of the rebranded special over here, but we do know, the one thing we do know is it has RGB, well, actually 2 things. It has RGB and Hall effect joysticks, and it's wireless.
Wireless, just like all the other ones. This one, it's an interesting design though. It's RGB. Looking back, I definitely wouldn't have bought this one if I knew it would be off of Amazon as quick as it was.
We got some cost-saving measures here. So this is the
rattle.
The dongle. It's got a little rattle there. But again, we'll see what we got going on here. I know Jackson was just looking it up because we looked at the listing we purchased from. It's not there anymore. There are other sellers selling this for as low as $29, which, you know, with the buttons and everything, you know, might be fair, but it could be totally different specs as well. So again, we'll leave a link down below to whatever one we think is the closest once we're finished unboxing it, because
I don't know, it might just have no branding on it.
Yeah, so it just might be a very generic rebranded controller. We have a lot of RGB accents here. Let's see if it will just turn on. Or do I need to pair to see the RGB? Oh wait, there's an RGB light button. There's a lot of RGB, I'll be honest with you, considering I'm gonna be like this, and I'm just not gonna see this. Like, it's just gonna, is it just gonna warm my hands up? I don't know. So in terms of the button functionality, we got the joysticks right here, which they feel pretty stiff, I'll be honest. The D-pad is nice, pretty solid. It's very shiny though. I can see that getting kind of dirty pretty quickly. We got all our buttons here. They feel pretty good. Not mechanical, obviously. The clickiness is not there. We do have the bumpers right here, which they got a little bit of clickety-clack to them. And the textured triggers right here feel okay. You do have the 2 buttons on the back and a set button, which I'm assuming is a pair button.
Something like that. But yeah, like I said, this one's an interesting one. This is the one that stands out because they did most of like the cheaper name brands over and over again. Wow,
it's like a mechanical keyboard. We have different RGB modes, which is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, okay. And this one does have 2 extra buttons in the back, but you can't change height or anything like that. So this one at 45 is definitely not seeming to be right now, but maybe once we game, we'll feel a little bit differently about it. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I feel like there's some small QC issues with this. Like, I'm noticing that the right trigger has a little bit of a, like, almost a mechanical click to it, and the left one does in fact not. At first I thought that was a feature, but now I'm realizing that that's just like a little bit of a QC issue. But I gotta say, I mean, it seems like this controller, I got it for like $41, is definitely not worth it. Now, the AliExpress and like Temu price that I see this exact same controller for, which is more like anywhere from $10 to like $30, that's probably worth it for a you know, controller that supposedly has Hall effect, which we can't really deny or confirm because it is so unbranded. Like, even looking at the back of it, it just doesn't have anything to it. It's just like wireless controller. So I'm not a big fan of that personally. I feel like when it comes to these controllers, I at least wanted to have the name brands that are the cheap name brands, you know, like the 8-bit do and the Easy SMX. So here's what Matt thinks, but so far, in my opinion, this one's last.
Oh god, first impression, these joysticks, oh god, these feel rough, bro. Like, they just, it feels like a worse version of like a normal Xbox controller. Like, it's just not great. I mean, I could get used to it, but like, now that I've tried all these other budget controllers, especially the first one, it's just so much better than this. Like, if I didn't know any better and I was just coming from like an OEM controller, I'd be like, you know, it works, but there's just so many better options out there, man. It's crazy. I think it's bad. Compared to the other ones, bad. Let's go ahead and put this one in last so far. I would be surprised if anything is worse than it, but, you know, what do you expect from a rebrand controller that, well, probably shouldn't have a name to begin with. All right, guys, next up, we have a controller that we know very well, the Easy SMX X10, which this one does come with mechanical tactile buttons, a swappable magnetic faceplate, Hall effect joysticks and triggers, battery life. You can actually customize it with an app, which is interesting, but, you know, you have that option.
Yeah, but, you know, I run this controller at home. I run the cheaper version that is only mechanical buttons, but it does not have the Hall effect, and it's quite
This what's $41 you said?
41 bucks. Basically the same price as the last one, which should have not been that much.
So yeah, we showcased this in our tech gift video around Christmas time. It was a really awesome controller around then. It was even on sale a little bit cheaper when I got mine. I got mine in purple, so it was a little bit less. But the cool thing about this is it does have these swappable faceplates here, which again, I don't really know who would do it, but you can.
Comes with them too.
Yeah, you can swap it to all white if you want to. I'll probably just leave the silver on, but the idea I had, if you really want to customize your controllers, you can do like a sticker bomb or something like that, but it's cool.
I gotta say too, this one so far has had some of the nicer packaging. I like that the cable's braided USB Type-C as well. Once again, wireless with the dongle.
So yeah, we'll do a little look over on the controller here. As always, we got our little joysticks right here. The D-pad is nice. I like the non-glossy D-pad, very solid. We have the ability to change buttons here. So this right here.
I don't know. All of these have multiple buttons, and we haven't really talked about them.
So obviously we have a back button, we have a settings button, and a start button. Basic stuff. Those. On the back side, we do have the 2 additional programmable buttons where you can switch between Bluetooth or the 2.4 dongle. This right here, what is this, by the way? I've noticed this. This is like a thing you can slide on, like a...
You know, it looks like that. My only other thought is it's like a locking Type-C, but that we don't get one of those included.
Yeah. The bumpers right here, solid. Nothing too crazy to write home about. Not super mechanical or anything. These, crispy.
They remind me of it's like a lube switch almost.
Yeah,
so nice.
It's not tactile, but it feels very smooth at the same time. And yeah, the feel of this controller is really awesome. Again, I've used this controller for a long time, and I've had no major complaints with it. Lighting is just a basic activity LED that shows between switching modes.
Yeah, and then we do get these other buttons back here that I know you can turn rumble on and off by the touch of a button too, but I almost feel like this. Where's that guide at?
Turbo button and 19 is vibration button.
I don't know what turbo button is. That'd be something we need to look into more.
Yeah, so you have manual auto fire, which you press T plus A, hold down the A button, you'll achieve continuous trigger.
It is rapid fire then.
It is rapid fire. So once you enable that, you can do rapid fire, which
don't get banned.
I think it's important to mention here, and we'll probably have some mentioned earlier in the video. The testing we are doing in this video is based on games we play regularly. If we play first-person shooters on PC, we're going to use keyboard and mouse. Obviously, a lot of people do use controller for first-person shooters, and these might be good for you, these features. But if we're talking casual gamer playing an occasional game on PC that requires a controller, these are good options, and that's kind of the opinions we're giving you on this video.
But I think at this point, I'm ready to play some games.
Game time. It feels right at home, ladies and gentlemen. It just feels solid. Again, it's not super heavy. Just that was the one thing we commented on with the 8-bit do compared to the Vision controller. It definitely, it definitely is one of those where it's not super heavy, where I feel like I would get tired holding it for long periods of time. The battery life, this is the one we can contest for the battery life. Again, it's a little unfair to the other controllers. I will grant you, we have used this controller, so we know the battery life is really good. But it's just an all-around good controller for the price, and they run a lot of coupons on these. It's just a solid controller. The buttons,
they're nice.
They're nice. They give you a little bit more of an experience versus a standard controller. And yeah, the vibration motor right here, you can change the vibration levels. I'm getting beat up and I feel it. I freaking feel it.
Put it in your pants.
Awesome controller. I would definitely rank this one. Honestly, the 8-bit do surprised me. It was a really good controller, and I think it does rank pretty close to this one. Obviously, I'm gonna have a little bit of bias to this one because it is one that I use regularly, but I'll let Jackson be the determining factor on whether we put it ahead of the 8-bit do or right behind it, but it's a good controller.
I also have this controller, but I got the cheaper version actually. Matt got the nicer one that was from the actual roundup. That not only has the Hall effect, I just missed that, but it also has the mechanical buttons. I got the version that has the mechanical buttons, but no Hall effect. And I gotta say, I can't feel a major difference, but it is such a good controller. I've only charged mine one time, and I think I've owned it now for 2.5 months. It just always is handy and ready to go. I normally, whenever I'm done playing, because as you can see, it has a lot of different modes, Bluetooth, wired, wireless, and what would NS be? No shock. I'm just kidding, I don't know what that means, but normally when I'm done with it, I'll literally just turn it to the wired mode just to make sure it stays off. Man, it's only, what is it, $6 more than the 8-bit do.
I think the mechanical buttons are worth that $6.
I think the mechanical buttons are worth it. The swappable faceplate, like this thing just has some features to it that I really do think are totally worth it. So I'm gonna get this last shot. I'm saying number 1, Matt.
Number 1!
Number 1!
Easy SMX number 1. Next up, we're getting into the premium territory, but still pretty budget at $56 with the GameSir Cyclone. What we have right here is one that comes with its own dock, supposedly. Comes with a bunch of awesome, cool features, like the ability to change the trigger actuation point, which is similar to the Scuff and Vision controller, but all in all, for 56 bucks, we're actually getting a lot more features here.
This one also comes with a dock where you can actually charge it. Hopefully it still has USB-C though for the people who don't want to have to charge it when they just want to play a game right away. It's also 1K polling rate confirmed on the USB wireless. It also has the rapid trigger mode where you can actually turn that on and off with the click of a button. Some RGB, which is something that the Easy SMX didn't have.
And we'll see what we have here. Oh, that was so unsatisfying.
Wow. Oh, dude, is this dock aluminum?
That is an aluminum dock, I think. Wait, why is it, hold up. Why is it already lit up?
It's on.
I literally just lifted it out and this looks so premium, I will say.
This is really cool. So this is aluminum and then we have like padded feet here. You want to try to pop that on real quick?
Yeah, so it should just do like one of these.
Oh yeah, wow.
That's really nice.
That's a cool little display piece. And okay, so it does have C on both. So you don't have to use this dock if you don't want to, but I would use that.
Now, I will say, this does have a very similar frame design to the Easy SMX. Look at the top.
Oh, wow, yeah, like the back is like...
Are these the same?
Very identical in the back.
They're very I wonder if this is a similar, like these are a little bit...
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit different.
Definitely a little bit different.
The sticks are also a little different.
Yeah, they're a little different, so... It's close, but, you know, it's still a lot of cool features. I really like the transparent design.
Oh, it's so
I've
cool.
always liked retro tech that was all transparent, like the transparent Game Boy and stuff like that. Always looks really cool.
Or it's just like the SCUF controller where it's just like a mechanical switch at that point.
So I'll plug up the dock, because maybe the dock, the picture shows like lighting on the dock, so I feel like we got to show that off.
Lighting on the controller too, which I'm wondering if there's a button for that.
Well, maybe there isn't any lighting on the dock. Maybe it's just lighting on the controller. It does give you a pass-through though, so that's nice. We gotta see the lighting, guys. Normally we wouldn't do it this way, but we want to see if there's actually lighting on this thing. Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Okay, so it is when it's connected, and it's RGB kind of. It's blue.
It's blue.
But it looks good with this color scheme. It's an interesting color scheme.
I was gonna say the red's a little weird.
A little off.
If the red wasn't there, I think it would look really cool. You know, it's kind of got cool colors. Point this out. Do any of these other ones have?
I didn't go with every single one. This one does not.
I don't think it is, but
the SCUF, the
El Cheapo
has the headphone jack.
Headphone jack, which gaming, it's not a huge deal, but if you are playing on console, it would be something you'd be kind of interested in. So we got over all the buttons, all the abilities. Let's leave it like this. Or yeah, it's
Some people probably do.
They probably do. Let's do some gaming tests. See if this feels any different. Is it worth the extra money over the Game Sir? Do we have a new competitor?
Out the Game Sir controller, and I gotta say, Jonah was using it, and I was like, just pressing the button. So I don't know if they're on-run switches, but it definitely sounds very similar to the SCUF and Fusion. All effect, analog sticks feel really good. Very simple. It looks really good. I like the scheme of this. I agree with you. It's nice if the red wasn't here. I almost thought these might be removable. I guess you could always paint them. This does come in black too, by the way. I just got the white because I felt like we didn't have any white controllers. I feel like the stand, wherever that went, is really cool. Jonah, what do you think? Would you rock the stand?
I would not rock the stand.
Okay. Matt, would you rock the stand?
No, I'm pretty abusive with my controllers.
But I do like the actuation point is a good point, a good feature. All right, I'm gonna let